Thank you. I'm honored to be your guest speaker for the 2016 Veterans Day ceremony. I thank you all for being here today and for giving me your attention. This is a great honor. I must also thank my family for their constant support, my lovely fiancée Kristen, and my cousins and relatives that traveled here from North Carolina today. Lebanon has always been a patriotic city. I see many veterans in the crowd right now. If you served in peacetime or war, please stand, or if you're already standing, raise a hand. I'm grateful for veterans like yourself, and I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for your service. You represent the greatest country, and it is an honor to be here with you today. It is because of you and your families that we are privileged with freedom. I often think of the men and women from our past, our present, and those that will serve in the future. I think of them because they are freedom at work, and they represent America's enduring spirit. We gather today because of all the great generations of men and women, remembering those who have gone before us, those warriors that fought the war to end all wars, the fierce trench warfare that came to an armistice on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, November 11th, 1918, World War I. The 11th of November became a day to be known as Armistice Day, a legal holiday to be dedicated to the cause of world peace. I believe those men and women were warriors for peace. Unfortunately, World War II and the Korean War followed. After both of those hard-fought wars, and at the urging of veteran service organizations, a change took place to the legal holiday to honor all American veterans of all wars. Armistice Day was legally changed to Veterans Day. There has been several wars and combat actions across the globe since then, from Vietnam, the Cold War, Beirut, Grenada, Desert Storm, and my generation's war, the ongoing war on terror and extremist ideology. Afghanistan is our nation's longest war in history, and the war in Iraq will continue to be fought because it never really ended. The enemy, they have a choice too. They get a vote by when and where they attack and how successfully they recruit. For me, my story starts here. Lebanon is my hometown. I was class of 2004, and I stepped onto the yellow footprints at Parris Island, South Carolina, to join the United States Marine Corps just 2 days after my high school graduation. I felt a responsibility to serve this great country because I was able-bodied, and if I did not, then who would? I owed a debt of gratitude to every service member that has walked in combat boots before my time. I graduated within 2 days of starting college, and I chose to withdraw from college with 2 weeks remaining in the quarter in order to expedite my combat school training to become combat deployable with my newly assigned infantry unit in Columbus, Ohio, Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines, 4th Division. I checked into that combat school on my 19th birthday, November 30th, 2004, and at 6 months from graduating high school, I received my presidential orders that would allow me to deploy with Lima Company. Lima Company was 184 Marines strong, and we would send over 450 enemy insurgents to Abu Ghraib prison or killed in combat, and increase voter turnout from 10% to 70% during our 7-month combat operations in Al Anbar province. 6.5 of those 7 months, we were constantly on the move and away from any firm operating base. We lived outside the wire. We showered 1 time in 45 days. Our once clean and soft uniforms were salty and rigid, as if they were made of cardboard. We operated in an area that Saddam Hussein did not try to control because it was so violent. It was commonly called the Wild Wild West. Our typical engagements were with foreign fighters, the Mujahideen, or holy warriors. They stop only when killed, and they would take amphetamines and synthetic adrenaline to delay that time. Our mission had us moving door to door, clearing entire cities of Mujahideen, finding weapon caches, and gathering intelligence. As we traveled between 30 different cities, the vehicles we used were ill-equipped to handle the high operational tempo, but we did the best with what we had, and you go to war with what you have, not with what you want. Unfortunately, improvised explosive devices were becoming more powerful, and they took a toll on our vehicles. By the end of our deployment, 23 Marines were killed, and another 37 received Purple Hearts. Our casualty percentage grew to 30%. As a reserve infantry company central to Ohio, many of our Marines left local communities, and those local communities were impacted by Lima Company's deployment, as they followed the news stories of our actions in Iraq, and they wondered about their sons, husbands, fathers' well-being. One of the headline news stories appeared on the front page of the Columbus Dispatch. The article depicted August 3rd, the day of the largest casualty-producing IED in the war to date. Above the news article were pictures of the fallen Marines from Lima Company. These paintings, to your side, came to a lady in Columbus through her dream. She was going to paint these Marines and help heal the families, but this was the first time she had ever picked up a paintbrush. She followed her inspiration, and these paintings resulted. To your side, these are the quarter-scale replicas of the original paintings. The large original paintings travel the country as they bring awareness to veteran-specific issues and have a therapeutic effect on anyone that has experienced loss, particularly when you have time to look over the details, spending time with, and looking the Marines in the eyes. The memorial gained the name, the Eyes of Freedom, the Lima Company Memorial. The legacy of Lima Company continues today as our story inspires communities across the great nation. I'm humbled to have served in combat with these fallen warriors. Together we experienced the most violent places on earth, accomplished great successes, and forged relationships that are beyond this world. Once arriving home in early winter of 2005, I experienced significant back pain, and the doctor had told me I'd broken a few vertebrae at the very beginning of my deployment. And because of our high operational tempo, I did not feel the pain due to constant flow of adrenaline. Being home did not feel like home. Iraq felt like home, but I knew the experience I had on our deployment would never be the same, and I needed to find my next step in life. My mind was always racing, my body was trying to keep up. For the first time in my life, I experienced a constant pain. There was a physical pain that changed my fitness abilities, and that coupled with the realities of war. While we were deployed, our operational tempo and mission dictated our focus. Mission came first, and everything else follows. Now that I was finally home, everything that was pushed down the priority list began to come forward in your thoughts. The scenes from our firefights, back and forth across the Euphrates River, while in that moment can be one of the greatest experiences in your life. Working together with your team, getting the mission accomplished, standing up for the good in the world, doing your job that you have trained to do, to be the best, to shoot straighter than your enemy when it mattered, when your life and your brother's lives depended on it. However, all the other things you never thought of before, you now will never forget. Like taking sniper fire, hearing it snap past your head, knowing that snap means it was very close to hitting. When you take grazing machine gun fire, then you drop in time, which is followed by rocket-propelled grenades that hit your location and bounce around on the rooftop with you, and you're okay because the explosives did not detonate. Or when mortar rounds drop on your location and you hear the shrapnel tear into buildings around you, you wonder why you still stand. Why did those things miss you? Why did you get off a vehicle 30 seconds before it blew? Those are some of the thoughts that stay with a veteran for a lifetime. They live with it, and it is now their responsibility to understand war and the aftermath. I returned combat to college at Ohio University in the fall of 2006. I did not think I was returning as a non-traditional student, but I was. I had spent the last of my teenage years at war, halfway around the world, and now I was a freshman in college. The first couple of years after Iraq were difficult, trying to fit in with classmates, hiding the war experience, until I realized it was an honor to have served, and it was my responsibility to continue to serve and educate, as I had a unique experience that started when I joined the Marines here in Lebanon, Ohio. My newfound mission to educate the classmates and university leadership about the experience and sacrifices that all military and veterans make to sustain freedom humbly brought me peace. I was honoring the Marine Corps traditions of leaving something or an organization better than when you found it. I was determined to leave Ohio University a better for all the future military and veterans. I spent long nights doing pro bono business development and leading a culture change at Ohio University with help of veterans, administration, and alumni. We ultimately saw many successes among those that were new policies for veterans and military, establishment of mentorship opportunities, and development of full-time veteran resources office during my year in school. All the while, I personally experienced success by graduating with a master's in business, becoming a top-rated airplane pilot, and receiving university recognitions for leadership. The personal successes were made easy because I knew that if I could not be as successful in my individual life, then I could not be successful with the mission to improve services for all military and veterans at college. And more than anything, I wanted to live my life in a way that would honor those who have served before us. I did not want to let my fallen Marines down. I worked for them. The greatest success witnessed was when I found myself returning to campus and seeing the veterans using the policies we changed, the center we formed, and hearing their tales of community service and successful paths after war. No veteran ever joined the military because they wanted to be a veteran someday. It surprises you when you become one, and it comes with responsibility. I currently work for the Air Force in business development, and I volunteer with the USO Tribute Cincinnati to support their hospital programs at Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland, where the nation's most wounded receive care, and while they are there, their average stay is 30 months. 2 weeks ago, I was honored to join the board of the Eyes of Freedom Memorial, and we have huge expectations for the memorial, and I'm very excited about the national impact that we can have on our veterans, and I do hope that the memorial can travel to Lebanon someday for all of you to see. In 3 weeks, I'll be married to my beautiful fiance, Kristen, and I also begin weekend traveling to Washington, D.C. to consult on the congressionally directed medical research programs that aim at providing cutting technology to make the greatest health impact to military, veterans, and the American people. I share with you my personal interest because I care for our country, and as I spoke earlier about the origin of Veterans Day, the armistice, and our current wars, it brings me to share my final thought with you today. I know that collectively, we can be warriors for peace and defeat the terrorist ideology. We must always hold on to that mission at hand. Through all adversities in your life, you must become adversity advantaged and improve. We must have this ingrained in our ideology because we can be freedom at work too, improving the country every day. That is important to those that served in the past, the present, and to our future generations. That action of community service is the ultimate thank you and our path to also defeating terrorist ideologies. We must carry America's enduring spirit of freedom on our backs as if the fate of her successes rested solely on you and I. Thank you very much for your time today.